All right, it should pop up in a second.
Okay.
I don't have my YouTube up because I'm full screen on the on voice. I mean on Zoom, so I'm not sure really what's going on.
Yeah, there we go. It's showing now.
Okay, perfect.
All right, cool, perfect. So, all right, so just for the people who are probably joining in now, I just want to ask again. Sukesh is throwing his hat into the ring. He wants to become a inspector general on wax. Um, this role is very important in the wax governance model. Uh, what does this position mean to you specifically?
Well, I think this position means quite a lot to me. Well, as a guild operator, one of the nodes producing in the network, pretty much from day one, I have been quite vocal about the OIG role within the WAX ecosystem because it kind of decides who gets into operate the network, right? So unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum or EOS, so you have a different system here in place which ensures quality and also the reliability of the network. So it's really important. And as a guild, we have been sharing our views since day one. We have been part of the discussions, and I have been vocal critic to say. I know I have yeah, like angry arguments and exchanges with many of the existing inspector generals. But at the end of the day, like I want to see a fair system, which where everyone, all the node operators are treated fairly and equally, um, because this has a great purpose. If we are calling WAX the king of NFTs, we want to ensure the network is also the king of the NFTs as well. So every operator should be treated fairly as part of the governance. Um, and I have laid out my views in my candidacy proposal as well clearly. Uh, so it's basically like five principles for me. So as an OIG team, you have to be objective about things. You can't really bring subjective opinions into the discussions. Of course, like it's really hard to evaluate on different metrics, but I think you have to be as much objective as possible. And then you need to the basic purpose of the OIG or the governance system is to assist token holders, right? So that was the initial vision, at least, to assist token holders in voting to the block producers or guilds in this case. Uh, and as an OIG team member, you have to be communicative. Of course, there were some issues in the past with the OIGs, and it has been improving since then. But yeah, you have to be communicative with the guilds because it kind of decides whether someone is going to get paid or their teams are going to get paid. So it's a big thing. You're basically deciding the business proposals or like business plans for more than 21 guilds. So it's affecting more people than you think. And the fourth metric or the principles that I stand by is the quality and reliability aspect because today you have different metrics that evaluate a guild. Um, there, of course, they have been improving since like 2019. Right now, we have a good system now, but it has to be improved, which towards more reliability basis rather than like checking the boxes. Okay, whether the guild is producing or the APIs are working today. You have to be more measuring the reliability as well. And also, I have one specific stance in relation to the OIG team itself because so far we have had guilds who has been part of the OIG as well. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg question, right? Like, or also like a straightforward conflict of interest because you're kind of evaluating yourself in a way.
Yeah.
If you're a guild and if you're an OIG, it's even though like you try to be unbiased and fair and transparent, it's always hard because everyone is biased
Right.
Right.
towards their own business. So, uh, and my stance is basically straightforward. Like as an OIG, you shouldn't get any. extra benefits or points or whatever it is uh, in the evaluation process. You should be treated fairly and same as the other block producers or guilds. Yeah, so these are the five principles. So if you want to read about them, you can just go and check out the candidacy proposal as well.
Yeah, I actually put a link to that in the description in my YouTube video, so your link's up there.
Awesome. So anybody who wants to check that out, definitely make sure you read that, just so you can further reaffirm everything we talked about here. But so we wanted to ask you a couple relevant questions to if you were elected OIG. We wanted to ask you a couple hypothetical questions.
Oh, yeah.
One question that we got was, what is your stance on if a scammer steals a lot of wax or NFTs from another account through a phishing attack or some sort of hack? What would you do as an IG, and what do you think the blockchain should do about it?
Well, I think that's a really difficult question. Uh, well, I don't think there is any black and white answer to it, to be honest, because on a moral sense, on an individual level, I want him to get his tokens back, right? I don't want anyone to lose their tokens with these silly attacks. But at the same time, we as a network kind of agreed to certain conditions and rules that we set forth as a community and the group. So I think everyone has to respect that, unless there is a precedence where the guilds and the wax team and the community decides that okay, we need to take this action, or so that whatever happens in the future in relation to these instances, this is the set procedure that everyone has to follow. So then I think the guilds has to follow that. But I don't think it's the responsibility of the inspector general team to make any decision or to make an argument on this particular thing, because it's the responsibility of the guilds and the wax community itself. As a guild, as an guild, you have to respect the decision of the community and follow their principles, because they are the ones who are voting for you to be in that position. So yeah, I
Right.
would say
Yeah.
basically, just to summarize, like it's not black and white decision. It has to be decided from the community, and I don't have any personal opinion on that.
Do you think it's like easy enough for people to vote that aren't really into crypto yet? Like,
Well, I think that's where we as a OIG team should be more communicative and explain, because that's kind of like the responsibility, right? Like it's not only evaluating, but you have to help out the token holders to see these are the guilds we think are performing really good
right,
and checking all the boxes and contributing to the growth of the ecosystem. So you should definitely consider voting for them. So that is the education that's needed
right.
from the OIG, rather than the guilds reaching out. Their responsibility is to ensure the reliability of the network and contributions towards the ecosystem growth. And the OIG team's responsibility should be towards uh, more motivating the community to participate in the governance process.
So we got one person in the chat, Epic Wow Gaming. Not sure if you know who that is, but
Yeah.
he said, if you were to get elected, would your guild stay registered?
Yeah, I think I kind of really addressed that in the candidacy proposal as well. But briefly, I'm going to touch on that. I clearly stated that we as a team, as a guild operator, we have been providing the infrastructure since day one. So uh, I know like this is a straightforward conflict of interest that I was addressing early on. So if the community thinks that we shouldn't be a guild, uh, then we will be removing from the position, or we will withdraw because of the interest of the community.
Right.
But if the community agrees that we should still contribute, but as a standby position, instead of being in the top 21 without taking any extra points or without getting any additional benefits, then we will respect that as well. So we let the community to decide. So we are open. If I get elected, we will hear the community and decide the steps accordingly.
Right.
But we will be still contributing, even though we are not a guild. We will still run our API nodes, for instance, because we don't want the applications who are already using our nodes to find another producer or other operator. Because if you check our history as well, our nodes have been 100% reliable pretty much since the beginning. So we want to continue that relationship with the dApps in the ecosystem. So that's my stance there. But if the community and the WAX team and everyone thinks that we should move away from being a guild, we are completely open for that.
Yeah, I feel like being standby wouldn't be that bad. Seems like a
Yeah.
reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, but definitely check out like the proposal. So you have a clear description, and I stand by that.
All right. So, what direction would you like to see the Office of Inspector General move towards, in your opinion? Like, what do you feel has been done really well, and also what do you think could be improved upon, or what other direction could the Office of Inspector General go in?
Well, I think when we initially started with the concept of Inspector General, I think it was a bit more objective. And I really like that. Even though it wasn't perfect, we have been improving it almost since then as a community, right? So uh, the things that worked out really well, I think, were the improvements that we made over the time in relation to evaluation frameworks, or like the processes in place, or the communication in general between the OIGs and the guilds. That has been improved over the time. But I think when we started moving towards more subjective decisions, uh, and when we started seeing additional points and frameworks for the guilds for also being part of the OIGs, then the system starts reflecting to be not fair. I think many of the guilds also feel the same way as I do. I think they agree upon as well. I think what could be changed in future is I think in general it shouldn't be too subjective, in my opinion. That's first thing. Um, it has to be as objective as possible, whether through different metrics or different frameworks. I think it has to be objective. Also, as I mentioned, that like there were some communication issues in the past, which has been improving since the last couple of months. So that can be improved much further as well. And it's not only with the communication with the guilds, right? It has to be towards the token holders as well. It's not just like creating a Medium article every month and that's it, and publishing it on social media platforms. You have to kind of do more engagement activities, which ensure that the token holders are being educated about the guilds as well. So that's something I want to work upon. And yeah, treating fairly as well. As an IG, if you're also part of the guild, then you shouldn't get points for that. And also, yeah, I think those are the key points that I want to cover. But I actually put together a couple of proposals to address really these points. For instance, one of the points which to address the subjectivity part is about the if you look at the current evaluation framework, there are like two criteria, right? So one is for product development and one is for business development initiatives. So many guilds are doing a great job in building new products and bringing new uh, business leads to the ecosystem. But at the same time, there has to be a straightforward framework. We have in the industry, like when we're working with software or any other application processes, there is a system called TRL, which is basically like technical readiness level, which kind of sets a straightforward framework for anyone to use. So if we can come up with a straightforward framework similar to TRL system, then these particular contributions can be evaluated really objectively. Okay, you satisfy the requirements of TRL 5 status. So you get these points. So this is pretty straightforward. You don't have to evaluate, okay, whether this is working or whether that is working. And you don't need to have these back and forth discussions. It doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, it's guild's responsibility to provide these information. So they have to decide in what level they belong to, or what level of product they have. Do they have an exceptional product which satisfies the level of TRL 9? They should be able to back up their claims. So I want to see that kind of objective system where everyone is treated fairly. Um, yeah, I think that's one of the things I want to bring upon as well as an IG.
Yeah, definitely. I think streamlining, like you said, objectivity is super important because
Yeah,
we are part of a wax guild and we've seen different things and different metrics that we get judged based on, you know, month to month. So it changes. And so
yeah, you know the
I would
pain.
really that's a big thing. So do you have any specific proposals that you want to implement to the OIG framework?
Yeah, I put together four proposals today so far. So the first one is the improving the technical operations evaluation. So today what we are doing is basically we have, I think, around 10 or 15 points in relation to technical operations. But most of them are like, do you satisfy the requirement or not? So it's just like that, right?
Yeah.
So I have been observing this for like last 5 to 6 months now. So majority of the node operators or the guilds, uh, their API endpoints have issues oftentimes, whether it's with full history availability or not, whether it is working or not, right? So it has been improving, but so far the IG team is only evaluating at the time of the day of that month, right? So during this time we are evaluating whether if your node is working, you get the points. Whether if your node isn't working, you don't get the points. But what happens to the whole month before? Was it working before? So majority of the guilds have been just like in the last minute before, and they are only trying to ensure that it works during the evaluation time. What happens to the time before or the after? So it's just like first basic thing that you have to measure on the reliability basis rather than just evaluating during that particular time, which doesn't make any sense. Uh, and the second thing is the TRL system that I mentioned. So I will, if I'm elected, I will put together a TRL system which is suitable for wax. There are existing TRL systems in general which can support different software projects or development projects. But I want to put together something specific in relation to wax. So that is something I'm going to work upon. And then the third thing is adding mandatory metrics as part of the requirements as well. So if a guild is contributing, I think like yourself, right? Like your team is working on doing more marketing engagement activities by creating content, videos, blogs, etc. Right? So I think one basic thing, like everyone who is working with this, need to provide metrics. I know metrics can be faked, they can be bought, but at the same time, like it's good to have a transparent system. See, okay, if these are the top 21 guilds, and these are the metrics that they are providing, I think that's
That's a good idea.
not a big ask. Because what I observed during the last couple of months was, say some guilds were working like 2 months before, just created an article about some kind of steps to create like NFTs or whatever, right? So, and they didn't submit any input during last month, but they still get the same points. And a guild who worked, like yourself in this case, so if you're working and creating content every month and you're getting the same points as they, I don't think it's fair,
Right.
right? So I know like this is a first-hand experience for me as well, right? As a guild, I know these things happen. So I think that's a unique perspective that I bring to the table as a guild as well myself. So I think that's something we need to have. Like everyone should provide the metrics, whether you contribute during this month or not. It doesn't matter. You still have to provide the metrics if you want to get points. And the fourth thing is the automation. So there are many things which can be automated, like reliability metrics and evaluation metrics. So if we can automate this, it can save a lot of time for the guilds, for the IG team, to avoid these back and forth discussions, which are really pointless oftentimes. Yeah, so these are the 4 proposals. So you can go to my proposal, candidacy proposal, and check them out. I clearly laid those out as well.
So I kind of want to ask a question around the third proposal you mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, so right now, what do you well, if you were elected, what do you think guild should be doing to stand out? Kind of. Do you see any weaknesses right now? As like, oh,
Well, I would say like just follow the guidelines.
yeah,
I will try to work towards setting a more objective guidelines to the guilds so that they can work towards those guidelines. But at the end of the day, like do an awesome job as a guild. Focus on the quality and reliability rather than just ticking the boxes, right?
right,
So
like you mentioned before.
yeah. uh, yeah, I know like this is the when you're working in this kind of points-based system, everyone is it's kind of hard to limit yourself because when you have a goal that you need to reach, everyone tries to reach that goal, right?
Yeah,
So it's always hard to limit yourself in relation like to achieve those points. I want to get those points, whatever is the matter, right? So I want to have a bit more objective system so everyone's have a fair chance of getting these points. But I want to tune this objective system in such a way that it focuses more towards improving the reliability and quality of the network rather than just ticking the boxes.
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird like competition and collaboration at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the chat, Cody? You checked?
Yeah, we actually did get a question from Francis, and this is, I believe, more of a personal question. But he wants to know what are your strengths, I suppose. So,
Well, I think that's a good question. Uh, when it comes to strengths, well, I can be straightforward and honest about most of the things. Like, I don't really mind if people think bad of me, that I'm always complaining or like arguing about different things which I feel unfair personally. Because at the end of the day, someone needs to speak up. I know it's hard when OIGs have this kind of power, which can decide the uh, whether you get pay or not, right? Whether you can be in the top 21 or not. It kind of affects the whole plans. So I think I can be friendly. I can be honest. I can be compassionate. I can bring these kind of things uh, to the communication wise as well. But in addition to that, I personally have a lot of projects as well within the WAX ecosystem. For instance, like we built Battles of Humanity game, and we are currently working on GPK Battles game where we can use GPK cards in the game while competing. And there are many other projects. And I have, as a chairman for Swedish Blockchain Association, I have the channels there to reach out to wider audience as well. So as a member within this blockchain ecosystem, I have a respectable position in the community, not only within the EOS.io space, but also outside the EOS.io space. I have been teaching different big organizations like Ericsson, Volvo Cars, Volvo Trucks, and many other organizations where I go out and teach about blockchain. So I have that respect within the community. So I think these are all my strengths that I can bring to the WAX ecosystem.
So I do not have the Zoom upgrade, so this only can last for 8 more minutes, unfortunately. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I was just seeing that.
Also, if anyone in the chat wants to check out his proposals, I left a link in the description down below, so go check that out.
Yeah, I also have like my LinkedIn profile there, so like you can check out like all my past experiences or events that we contributed to, or like you can also check out our Twitter page where you can see different posts or the different events that we organized during the past.
Let's see.
I know you mentioned a lot about pretty much being objective as possible and listening to the community, but we had another hypothetical question asked, and it was if there is a project like EDOS that attacked EOS on the WAX network,
Yeah.
What would be your stance on blacklisting certain accounts that are considered spam?
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's a difficult question. I think one of the we have to see like why is the reason for the EOS network to have this scenario, or like why are they in this situation, right? So one thing is the REX. You have REX in EOS, which is a resource exchange for whoever who doesn't know. So which kind of gives you access to quite a lot of resources with limited cost or very almost negligible cost. So when you have such kind of system in place, people try to scam it or spam it in this case. So when you see that in wax, you don't have REX in wax. So you will have a cost in order to spam the network. So in a way, it kind of impacts the token price and maybe improve the community. If someone is trying to spam the network, I would say let them spam and see what happens. But they have to get a lot of resources in order to do that. Kind of similar attack on Wax, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, they are owning their own tokens. They're buying in the market and they're trying to do something whatever they think useful or not. I will leave that to their judgment. Yeah, but I think it's really hard to do such kind of activities within Wax. But I don't think IGs or the guilds should take any specific action in relation to this. Um, I know like there are some costs associated with this on the history nodes who are operating the history nodes and such, but it's up to the guilds to decide if they want to store these particular data on their history nodes or not. They can save the cost by not storing that particular data or blocking it. But I wouldn't say block them on the chain itself. I don't think it's fair.
Definitely, that makes sense. So this is a question that I thought of. I wanted to know, because Wax is known as the king of NFTs.
Yes.
Do you think it requires what sort of different governance does it require versus EOS mainnet, for example, that you see that's unique in governing an NFT blockchain?
Um, Well, I think as Wax is working with real projects and real companies, right? So which are established and well known in the market or in the community itself. So I think the governance plays a vital role here. So you can't go to a company like Marvel or someone else, which is really familiar, and say that we are a decentralized network, we do so and so stuff, but if someone does something bad, we can't take any action. You can't go out and say that, and it doesn't make any sense to them who has been working with this centralized organization setup. So I think we should have governance as much as possible. And I think IGs play a vital role there, like ensuring the quality of the network operators who stand by certain principles of the community. But at the end of the day, like you have to evaluate these things on a case by case basis. There is no like black and white answer to everything when we are talking about governance, right? So uh, yeah, we just need to look at the situation and see if we have to take any action or not. We did had these discussions in the guild channels a couple of times when there were issues about someone spamming the network, or when they were trying to steal the money. Like for instance, the other day with KuCoin, the exchange hack, right? So the guilds were really discussing like, should we take any action in relation to this, or did the KuCoin already took action? So this has to be discussed on a case by case basis. You can't really say or set some guidelines right now.
Before we run out of time here, where do you think Wax could be in 5 to 10 years?
Well, from the current trend, I think it would be really in a good position. I think we will see a long-term sustainability compared to other crypto and blockchain projects out there. If you look in the last 3 to 4 years, many of the projects that started back then or doesn't even exist today. Like
Right.
some projects started last year doesn't exist today, right? So I want to see Wax sustaining and taking that position and cementing it as the leader of and the king of the NFTs. I think it choose a good niche market, and I think they have to stand by that.
For sure. Anything else you want to say to wrap
I
up?
think we're running out of time, right?
Yeah, less than a minute, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
So I just want to finally maybe conclude and say, like, if you have any more questions, please do reach out to me at Sukesh Tedla on Telegram or Twitter or Medium post or anywhere like that you can find. You can just search Sukesh Tedla and you will find me in Google as well. And if you want to vote and support me in this election, I think there's a link in the description, if I'm not wrong.
yeah,
You can press on that link, just sign in through your cloud wallet or Anchor or whatever you use, and you can vote directly to me.
awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for having me, and yeah, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens.
Good luck.
Good luck, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man.
See ya.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Yeah, bye. Cheers.